Bill C-16 purported to do nothing but extend human rights provisions to an excluded group, let's say, to the transgender and non-gender binary types.
Jordan Peterson, the man who once taught millions how to survive suffering, who could speak for hours about strength, discipline, and meaning, is now fighting the hardest battle of his life in silence. And it's far more heartbreaking than most people realize. From a medically induced coma in Russia to weeks spent unable to speak to his own family in intensive care, Jordan Peterson's journey is far more heartbreaking than anyone expected. And now, at 63 years old, after surviving addiction, neurological damage, and multiple near-death crises, his hardest fight is happening far away from cameras, applause, and public debates. This is the tragic story of how one of the world's most influential thinkers nearly lost everything. Let's get into it. The man with answers. Jordan Peterson was born on June 12, 1962, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. He grew up in Fairview, a small town in the far northwest part of Canada, where long winters forced people to become tough very early in life. His father, Walter Peterson, worked as a school teacher, and his mother, Beverly Peterson, worked as a librarian at Grande Prairie Regional College. They did not raise him with wealth or fame around him. They raised him around books, discipline, and learning. As a teenager, Jordan spent hours reading difficult writers like Alexander Solzhenitsyn, George Orwell, Aldous Huxley, and Ayn Rand. Those books changed the way he looked at human behavior, power, fear, and suffering. While most young people searched for entertainment, Jordan searched for meaning. He wanted to understand why people hurt each other and why societies collapse even when they promise a better future. He first studied political science at the University of Alberta and graduated in 1982. Later, he returned and earned another degree in psychology in 1984 because he believed psychology could explain human darkness better than politics ever could. After that, he attended McGill University in Montreal and completed his doctorate under Robert O. Peel, one of the world's leading researchers in addiction and aggression. By 1991, Jordan Peterson had become a clinical psychologist. Harvard University invited him to Arlington, Massachusetts, where he taught students from 1993 until 1998. His students remembered him as intense, serious, and deeply honest. He did not speak like a normal professor. He spoke like a man trying to warn people about something dangerous hiding beneath modern life. In 1999, he released Maps of Meaning, The Architecture of Belief, after spending 13 years writing it. The book sold slowly at first, but his ideas kept spreading through lectures and classrooms. Years later, his book 12 Rules for Life reached millions of readers around the world and turned him into one of the most famous public thinkers alive. But the fame that changed his life also pushed him toward a storm that his mind and body never truly prepared to survive. Fame under fire. In September 2016, Jordan Peterson uploaded 3 simple videos to YouTube from his office at the University of Toronto. He spoke directly about Bill C-16, a Canadian law connected to gender identity and expression. He argued that the government should not force people to use specific words under legal pressure. Within days, students protested against him on campus. Journalists attacked him in newspapers and television interviews. Faculty unions condemned him publicly. At the same time, millions of people suddenly discovered him online and listened carefully to every word he said. His videos spread across the internet at an unbelievable speed. Within 1 month, they collected more than 400,000 views. Within a year, his Patreon support jumped from $1,000 a month to more than 50,000. Young men, struggling families, and lonely people from different countries started sending him letters. Many told him the same thing. They said his lectures gave them direction when they felt completely lost. By 2018, Jordan Peterson had become one of the most famous public intellectuals in the world. His book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos, sold more than 10 million copies. He traveled constantly between interviews, podcasts, theaters, and sold-out speaking events. His conversations lasted 3 to 4 hours at a time and still reached millions of viewers online. The New York Times called him one of the most influential thinkers in the Western world. But fame changed the way people looked at him. Supporters treated him like a hero. Critics treated him like a danger to society. The internet stopped seeing an ordinary man sitting behind a desk. People turned him into a symbol for every political fight happening around them. While cameras followed his every movement, his private life started becoming harder to manage. In 2016, he changed his diet completely and ate mostly meat to control severe depression and autoimmune problems. At the same time, his wife Tammy Peterson battled Bellini duct carcinoma, a rare and aggressive kidney cancer. Jordan carried worldwide pressure on his shoulders, while fear quietly entered his home every single day. Then, in 2019, his body finally stopped cooperating with the life he had built around constant pressure and endless responsibility. The silent collapse. In 2016, doctors prescribed Jordan Peterson a benzodiazepine medication called clonazepam to help with anxiety and physical stress. At first, the medication seemed harmless and effective. Jordan continued traveling, recording interviews, and speaking in front of huge crowds around the world. But behind the cameras, something dangerous slowly started happening inside his nervous system. By 2019, the medication no longer worked the same way. His body developed a severe dependence on it, and every attempt to stop created unbearable suffering. Benzodiazepine withdrawal affects the brain in brutal ways. Fear becomes stronger. Sleep disappears. The nervous system stops functioning normally. Jordan later described the experience as one of the darkest periods of his entire life. At the same time, Tammy Peterson fought Bellini duct carcinoma for the second time. Doctors originally described the rare kidney cancer as terminal. Jordan tried to stay strong publicly while privately watching his wife fight for survival inside hospital rooms. Millions of people still expected him to appear calm and confident every single day. By late 2019, his family made a shocking decision. They flew him to Moscow, Russia, after North American doctors failed to improve his condition. Russian doctors placed Jordan Peterson into a medically induced coma so his nervous system could recover without fully experiencing the withdrawal process. During treatment, doctors also discovered pneumonia in both lungs. Jordan remained unconscious for 8 days. After the coma ended, doctors placed him in intensive care for 4 more weeks. He lost significant motor function and struggled to walk normally again. The man who once stood confidently on stages across the world suddenly needed help performing simple physical movements. For months, he disappeared completely from public life, while his family moved him between Russia and Serbia for rehabilitation and recovery. But the silence surrounding Jordan Peterson would not last forever because another terrifying health crisis waited quietly inside an ordinary home in Arizona nearby. Silence after survival. In the summer of 2025, Jordan Peterson helped clean his father-in-law's house after a death in the family. The job looked completely ordinary. Boxes filled the rooms. Dust covered old furniture. Grief already hung heavily inside the house. But hidden mold contaminated the building, and Jordan breathed it in without realizing the danger surrounding him. Within weeks, his health collapsed again. Doctors later diagnosed him with chronic inflammatory response syndrome, also called CIRS. The condition forced his immune system into constant overreaction and triggered inflammation throughout his body. Soon after that, he developed pneumonia, and doctors then diagnosed him with sepsis. Doctors rushed him into emergency hospitalization and placed him in intensive care for nearly a month in 2025. During those terrifying weeks, Jordan Peterson could not communicate with his family. The man whose voice once reached millions across podcasts, lectures, interviews, and sold-out theaters suddenly lost the ability to speak to the people standing beside his hospital bed. His daughter, Michaela Fuller, later described the experience as a near-death crisis that deeply shook the entire family. Doctors also discovered critical illness polyneuropathy during treatment. The condition damaged his nervous system and affected his movement. Jordan struggled with physical control in ways he had never faced before. He spent almost 5 months inside hospitals before finally returning home to Paradise Valley, Arizona in December 2025. As of early 2026, Jordan Peterson remains alive, but continues facing a slow recovery process. Specialists still monitor his neurological complications and the lasting effects caused by CIRS. Some days bring improvement. Other days bring exhaustion and uncertainty. Through everything, Tammy Peterson, Michaela Fuller, his son Julian, and his grandchildren continue standing beside him quietly every day. Jordan Peterson once traveled from Fairview to Harvard, from worldwide fame to a coma in Moscow, and from sold-out stages to silent hospital rooms in Arizona. Now, at 63, his hardest battle continues far away from cameras, applause, and public debates. Because at this stage, survival matters more to Jordan Peterson than fame, public attention, or winning arguments. Jordan Peterson spent years teaching people how to face pain, pressure, and suffering. But behind the fame and success, he quietly fought health battles that nearly destroyed his life. From Russia to Arizona, his journey became far more painful than most people ever realized. So after hearing this heartbreaking story of Jordan Peterson, what do you think was the hardest part of his journey? The addiction battle, the coma in Russia, or the terrifying health collapse in 2025? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video fascinating, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because we'll be uploading more incredible stories like this one in the coming weeks. Until then, see ya!